Batman Arkham Knight is one of my favorite games practically ever. It is probably the best, one of the best and most accurate depiction of Batman as a character and his relationship to the Bat family. Even though it is a small version of the Bat family, which I guess it tries to. That's kind of the point, that this Batman doesn't like having many connections. So the connections he does have, he like he tries to like protect them and distance himself from them, which only leads to them being in danger even more. And yeah, so this is probably one of the best depictions of the Bat family, but it does leave a lot to be desired in the story department, especially when talking about the supervillains. And no, I'm not going to complain about the tank. The tank is one of the best parts of the game. Fight me, in fact, I'm going to be defending the tank in this. So any Batmobile haters, you. So yeah, it's not on one of the disappointments of Arkham Knight, and probably the main disappointment that everybody focused on, was the Arkham Knight's identity and him being revealed as Jason Todd. Now, this could have worked in the story of Arkham Knight, and the sad thing is that it almost did. This almost worked, but he was his sudden introduction and like him suddenly being put in the middle of like the Arkham universe, and like, oh yeah, he already died, and he actually died doing, was it Arkham City or Arkham Asylum? But he actually died doing one of those games. I don't even remember which one. Like he actually, yeah, it had to have been in Arkham Asylum because Tim was already Robin in Arkham City. So Jason had already been dead, even though it had never been mentioned. I think there was like one reference, but like no, it was never mentioned. And also Arkham Knight kind of did away with the main writer of the first two games, Paul Dini. So it kind of, you could see it in the relationship between the villains. Like in Arkham City was like the peak of like Arkham Knight, even though it also had its problems. All the villains had its own interconnected relationships. Like the reasons why Penguin hates Joker is different from the reasons why Penguin doesn't like Harvey Dent. They were like the crime. They are not really crime families, but the crime bosses had like interconnected and complex reasons to like fight each other, which it is always fun to see like the super villains like interacting with each other in superhero stories. Usually when that happens, it just means that they team up against the superhero, which it's always hard to write super villains teaming up with to fight the superhero, like a Sinister Six situation, and still having the super villains lose and having it be believable. Usually they just have to be like, oh, the super villains, they didn't trust each other enough and they didn't know how to work together, which just makes them look incompetent because they have the numbers advantage. How they use it. Basically the Sinister Six in like, I don't know, No Way Home. Not the Sinister Six in Spectacular. I think that was a very good way of doing Sinister Six. Even though they did end up looking kind of pathetic in season 2. You see what I mean? The super villains need to have like a complex relationship with each other and reasons to fight each other, apart from fighting the superhero. The main superhero. And that's one of my favorite things about super villains like Joker, and to a lesser extent Two-Face and Riddler, because they are criminals, they commit criminal activities, but they're not like, they can make money, like Harvey Dent robbing banks, or Riddler also robbing banks. I just noticed they really like robbing banks, but like they can be as much of a detriment to criminality and criminal society as a whole than they can be like criminals themselves. Like Riddler has become a private investigator helping the GCPD hunt down other criminals because of his riddles thing. And also Harvey Dent was a literal lawyer slash prosecutor. Like it was literally his job before they took away his face, and then he's literally the representative of like supervillains taking over from the old criminal underworld. He's usually the one they use in that story, and you can see that in stories like The Dark Knight. And then Joker is a wild card, and I would argue he's a greater like problem for like actual professional criminals than he is a problem for like the police and stuff. But another argument for another time. Sure. This is going to be one video of many videos of my thoughts on Arkham Knight and how the game could have been made better. Specifically, my thoughts on the Arkham Knights and the situation of the supervillains. So, the Arkham Knight story it's like all the villains team up together, and still only Scarecrow and the Arkham Knights are the ones hunting Batman, and everybody else, Batman has to go to them. And Batman they never really do anything that is like, oh, teamwork, like they're working together, like they're passing information to each other about Batman's movement and stuff like that, except maybe Harley Quinn and Scarecrow when Harley Quinn raids the cinema, is it the theater, when Harley Quinn raids the theater with that Batman has made his home base in the Arkham Knight game. So that whole part of the story, like it should have just been scrapped. They may have them have the council or the little meeting where all the villains come to meet up about how big of a problem Batman is, but then have them not accomplish anything, or maybe just like one or two of them, like just Scarecrow just makes a deal with Penguin and everybody else blows him off. And also on that, the Arkham Knight and his army, so much potential with that. You could write so much. Like in Arkham City, right? In Arkham City, we don't get to see a lot of Hugo Strange and his Tiger forces that he trained personally to hunt Batman. But the little we get of them in gameplay and story tells us enough about them. They are a small force, but for everything they represent, they do it very well. They are a very intimidating force, and they are clearly a critique of like brutal police, police that are militarized police. They are clearly a criticism of militarized police, and you could have done something like that. I would have proposed like making, since Jason Todd is a soldier, like instead of him being hired by criminals who, yes, they would want to get rid of Batman, but like fund an entire army. Like, come on. I would have made it like, because Arkham City was like a project that the government approved of. You know, put all the prisoners in one place and then nuke everybody, and not just prisoners. Like in some situations, innocent civilians, reporters that are getting too close to the truth, and political rivals of Hugo Strange or the then mayor that were speaking against the entire thing, which is how Batman got into Arkham City. So, like, the Batman literally went against a government, like, what's it called? A government order, a government bill. Like, he literally went against the government when he like shut down Arkham City. Yes, the cops were still the ones to come and arrest everybody at the end of the day, and they still reopen Arkham City. But Batman, a government program. But Batman shut down a government project. Like, if it was any of the other DC like secret agencies like Argus or Spiral or Checkmate, they would immediately see that as, oh yeah, Batman is a threat and we need to have like anti-Batman weaponry going on. Like, that is how I would like do Arkham Knight. And the funny thing is, like, you already have the perfect agency that it already has ties to characters in the story. And not only would you give those characters in the Arkham Knight story more to do if you tie this agency with them, but you would actually end up having good explanations for a lot of the things that happen. Like, where did this random army from South America come from? And the agency is, well, the agency I mentioned before, Spiral, which is a secret agency in DC that they hunt down terrorist groups, or I think they are revealed to be bad guys or a terrorist group themselves. I don't remember if at some point Dick Grayson works for them alongside Huntress, which is what I think they should have done with Dick, instead of having him just hunt down the Penguin, or at least let him hunt down the Penguin for Spiral. And also, what's his name? Laszlo Valentin is an agent of Spiral. Who is Laszlo Valentin? The Pig. Probably the best mission and the most memorable villain, to me at least, from the entire Arkham Knight's experience, is a Spiral agent in the comics. You could, it would be so easy, and instead of, you could make the Arkham Knight thing like Spiral. You could make the whole Arkham Knight project like Scarecrow threatening to gas everybody, and then all the super villains like, oh yeah, we have to get rid of Batman. You could have made it make sense. Like, yes, they're all working together, but they're all working together because the government has now stepped in to get rid of Batman. Like, I hate to use this as an example, but the Dark Knight Returns kind of has a good idea of this. Especially part 2, because that's when the government actually gets involved by sending Superman. But they wouldn't be sending Superman. Hell, they could make their own version of Batman. Like, hell, that could be what Azrael's prophecy is about. That, Batman, you're going to die today, and there needs to be a new Batman that will rise from the ashes or whatever. Like, that could, Azrael's prophecy, you could have even tied Azrael into that too, by having his prophecy kind of correct, but him not being part of the prophecy at all. Which is like, it's kind of like the clear way to handle that. Like, yes, you could also have him being manipulated by that, by Saint Dumas, the religious order, blah blah blah. But I don't know, still tying in Hush, like trying to pretend to be Bruce Wayne, would still make, which I think makes sense. It would still be involved, and you could like do a clever thing where he's not being haunted. He's not just being haunted as Batman, but he's being haunted as Bruce Wayne. And also, like my like at the end of the day, I would have just chose to, like, the only reason I think I would want to keep the Arkham Knight in the game is because of how cool his costume is and the cool idea of a soldier Batman. But you already have a good critique of Batman militarizing and getting even more serious in his war against crime. In the gameplay, Batman becomes so overpowered, mainly because of the tank in the game, that it's almost ridiculous how you can just use the tank to, like, in high speeds in the tank or the car, in the tank in car mode, just ram into normal human beings who are criminals, yes, but they're still normal human beings, and break all their bones. And Batman is already a good enough critique of militarized police. Just in the Arkham Knight alone, you could make Batman the Arkham Knight. You could make him the, like, what's, like, again, what the Dark Knight Returns did, that he's become way more brutal over the years. And you could even still put Jason Todd's death in. You could make it like a Hush thing where the Arkham Knight tricks Batman into thinking he's Jason Todd and not actually being Jason Todd, which is the most obvious thing ever, like what Hush originally did in the comics. You could do so much with it. Like, Batman could have been, I wouldn't say his own villain of the game, but like he's getting too serious in his war against crime, and then he would have to pass on the baton to like other, the younger generation of Bat family members who aren't just not non-militarized, but like completely against that, like Barbara and Tim. Give my boy Tim something to do. The entire Joker thing, as much as the Mark Hamill Joker thing was really cool to see, I think that could have been a side mission and not one of the main missions. Like, so yeah, this is like my first rant of many rants. So about Arkham Knight.